Is Skyrim survival mode any good? Well, I just got done playing it and I feel prepared to talk about the pros and cons. The mode has been around for years as a Creation Club mod, but if you're like me, you might just be content with the base content and have never dabbled with that crap. The Skyrim Anniversary Edition released in 2021 offers survival mode with no extra downloads near the start of every game, and I'll be honest, reading it at a first glance, it sounds awful. One of the worst mechanics in video games is becoming over-encumbered, the pitfall of players who just want to loot everything. Survival mode hinders this urge even further by reducing the maximum carry weight by half of the standard. However, the mode adds backpacks that raise the carry weight, creating the feel of some hiker or adventurer or something. And in practice, it's not all that bad. Another thing Skyrim has had is cooking, a relatively useless thing that normally barely recovers any health and just bogs down your character. However, in survival mode you must manage your hunger, which is dictated by decreasing the stamina bar and causing your attacks to slow significantly over time. Food now replenishes that stamina, becoming a chronic necessity more significant than potions. But it goes further than that. Probably the biggest thing survival mode adds is temperature, specifically cold. The Nordic land of Skyrim is a frigid tundra, so you will have to maintain warmth constantly by finding the warmest armors. This means foregoing good armor for lesser defense in favor of warm furs, for example. Additionally, the alchemy ingredient known as fire salts become a crucial cooking ingredient to make hot soups and stews that not only replenish stamina, but recover from cold and provide critical seconds of extended warmth. This becomes an even more dire thing, as one of the biggest features of survival mode is that fast travel is completely disabled at all times. So the stable carriages become much more important, and sometimes you'll find yourself nowhere near one, say when you're stuck between Dawnstar and Winterhold trying to uncover information about the Elder Scroll. Time is critical because even the warmest armor won't protect against numbness and frostbite. And as you get colder, your maximum health decreases until all but a smidgen is left, making it easy to die from one hit from anything. In moments like these, the last thing you want to see is a frost dragon whose breath rapidly lowers your temperature and depletes your stamina, becoming more of a threat than Alduin himself. Finally, there is also fatigue to manage, which is reflected by decreasing maximum magicka and reducing travel speed as you grow more weary. The only way to recover from this is to sleep, something you ordinarily never do in Skyrim. Additionally, sleeping is the only way to access the level up perks, just like older Elder Scrolls games. So the inns of every major town become much more useful as they provide cheap rooms, warmth, and even sell decent food and ingredients if you're low on supplies. Lastly, there is more to picking your character race now, as almost every race comes with a specific survival mode perk. Argonians and Khajiit, for example, can eat raw meat without contracting food poisoning. But even better than that, Nords and Khajiit have a slight natural resistance to cold, making them good choices for staying warm. It could be fun to explore the different races across various playthroughs and challenge yourself. This mode also adds more of a purpose to the Hearthfire expansion that is included in the Anniversary Edition. There are 3 houses to choose from that you build from scratch, one of which is in a fairly warm environment. It can be fun to grow your estate, adding the all-important bed and cooking pot, as well as maybe even an oven and alchemy lab. Best of all, you can hire a steward like Lydia, and pay to have her enlist the services of a carriage driver who will take you to even more locations than the standard drivers, and for free. The only downside to this sort of home base is that there are no local shops to sell your alchemy creations to, and you always have to be mindful of that carry weight. In practice, I found this mode to be quite enjoyable, especially early on when I started to feel the fun of the mechanics that on paper sounded like an awful way to ruin the game. However, over the longer hours of gameplay, the lack of fast travel really became tedious, especially with certain quest lines such as the Dark Brotherhood, which has you hop back and forth all over where usually any sane player would just fast travel to get it over with. Some areas were really fun and full of danger, like taking the Stormcloak initiation test way out in the Arctic waters. But other journeys back and forth were just dull hours of managing the stamina meter. I found myself wishing fast travel was still allowed in small doses and came with the same effect of taking a carriage where upon fast travel you would be colder, hungrier, and tired. Alas, this is not the case, so some tasks in the game that would normally be quick fun become hour-long ordeals with no real danger other than time wasted. In conclusion, I think one's mileage may vary with survival mode. I was pleasantly surprised by the life it breathed into some aspects of the game, like making the inns, beds, and cooking all useful for once, and adding intensity to certain areas of the map. But other times, the lack of fast travel makes it really boring. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. And if you enjoyed this review, stay tuned for my casual playthrough of survival mode. I'm Bill from Good Old Days Gaming, and thanks for watching.